When the lights go out, the stars shine brightest, and that is never more true than here at Darlington Raceway. For the 6th annual Southern 500 in front of this beautiful crowd here, and with it being throwback weekend, alongside me in the booth for tonight's racing action is James Ellison with us for the first time this season. Wasn't quite able to make the field this time around, but we're glad to have you with us in this capacity. What are you looking forward to most as far as seeing these cars tackle the track too tough to tame and seeing how many escape it unscathed?
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing just what these drivers can put together and what they can accomplish. I mean, we saw what happened last year with, well, not just over the course of the race, but well, with our winner. It was a very interesting race, and I'm hoping for something similar this year.
Well, we're going to see something quite interesting throughout this field, no doubt about that, when you consider that so many drivers here have won before in this series and they're looking to stake their claim. The entire top 5 on the grid and 9 of the top 10 all have wins in this series, so the cream really rising to the top as we get set to go racing at Darlington. But we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the points situation, which we can give you a quick look at now. 4 drivers have clinched spots in the playoffs already. Miles Mashburn, Lane Sanders, Ben McDonnell, Jeffrey Finguy. No matter what happens to them from this point onward, they are safe in the top 15. But when you look a little closer to that cut line, it is very tight between Zayden Davidson in 15th, Zachary DeLello only 3 points behind. And this is a big deal for these guys because DeLello starts in 28th spot. Zayden Davidson, absolute shotgun last on the field. He has nowhere to go but up in this race.
Yeah, Zayden's qualifying was certainly not what's the word I'm looking for here? Indicative, there you go, of his normal speed in qualifying and in the races. But I should know, having been on track with him, but he is determined. I have no doubt about that. He wants to go up, like you said. He has nowhere to go but up, and I fully believe that he could be, well, with some strategy and a lot of determination and well, skill, he could be up there and challenging and perhaps maybe, just maybe, save his position to playoffs come time.
It's going to be fun to watch to see that 4-car go from the back to the front as far up the field as he can. As we can now bring you the starting lineup for tonight's 92 laps of action, and a first-time pole sitter graces the field for this race. Echo Evans-Ross, after so many years, grabs her first pole position in the series. Miles Mashburn, the points leader, lines up alongside her. He's got his work cut out for him as well because he needs to fight for that regular season championship with Lane Sanders. They're only a couple points apart. Sanders starts all the way down in 13th, so Mashburn will start with the advantage. But considering how Darlington races, I wouldn't be surprised if those two found each other before this race is over.
Oh, absolutely. And they're both determined. But I would definitely say, being the one behind right now, Lane's probably going to be the one who's going to be fighting the hardest to get up there as quick as he can and hope that something happens to Miles in the 72. But we'll have to wait and see. Darlington is always willing to put on a good show, and it can and has had implications in playoff field.
It usually does here at the Lady in Black. But with that being said, we've got 42 cars on the grid ready to get us underway, and we're ready to bring you that action now. It is the 2025 Southern 500, and we're going to get you set to go racing here in just a short while, so stay tuned for that. You're not going to want to miss a second of what's to come. Getting set for our last crown jewel of the season, it is the Southern 500, and with Echo Evans-Ross on pole position, Miles Mashburn alongside, this is going to be a good one, I have no doubt. Field rolls into the restart zone, the field accelerates, and we are underway for 92 laps at Darlington, and the 39 of Evans-Ross gets a good launch off the line. She will lead the field of 42 off into turn 1 for the first time.
And I look back there, he's 6th there, J.D. Martin. He tried It looked like he was going to try to go 3 wide for a second there on Cale Teskar Jr., who did not get a good start and has already dropped back behind his team, Devin Fair.
Yeah, but that's to be expected. We saw that in the previous races. We'll see that again. We've seen it again today. As Miles Mashburn, he tries to pull a crossover move on Echo Evans-Ross. He wants to lead a lap, get a bonus point, cement his position as the regular season points leader. But Evans-Ross on that outside line should be able to defend without much difficulty.
And now the biggest issue is a Toyota ally there for Evans-Ross in Fair, and now we got some more. We got some different players coming up here. Teskar definitely not having a good time this early on.
No, but look at this. Devin Fair, round the outside of Miles Mashburn, sizes him up, completes the pass without much issue, and Devin Fair moves himself up into second place. As you're right, Cale Teskar Jr. has backslid a little ways, down to sixth position.
Still falling.
Yeah, Rasha Mahendra's lining up a move on him now. Ben McDonald, Dylan Young, they're all lining up moves on the 18. He's going to have to get this sorted out in a hurry if he's going to have anything for the later this race. Because look at how close it is between Fair and Evans-Ross at the line. Oh, my goodness. Look at that margin. Imagine if that had been the checkered flag.
That had been the checkered flag. Seeing how the scoring says it would have been Fair who would have won, I don't think Devin would have complained. But seeing as it's only going into halfway down the lap 4, I think he's going to be focused. True checkered flag,
which is coming up in about 87 laps time. But for now, Devin Fair is clear of Echo Evans-Ross, takes the lead for the first time tonight, and he is free to set sail now. His 39 seems to be a bit slower compared to the likes of Mashburn, J.D. Martin, and how about this fifth place car, Ryan Reed, what I believe to be his one-up superstar debut, or at least his first start of the season, and he started this race in 6th place, and he's worked his way up into the 5th position. Very strong run for the guy going full-time in this series next year.
Yeah, and this is a big deal for that team, because anyone who was watching the qualifying a week ago knows, or however long ago knows, it was rough. Very rough on several drivers, and of course myself included, or I'm in the booth for that reason. But if Ryan Reed can do something there, then not just him, but that whole team will have something to be happy about.
But he does have to give way to Rasha Mahendra for the time being. And this 42 car, I feel, is going to turn some heads in the last few races of this season. We know he's leaving at the end of the season. We know that whole team is going away at season's end. But I think this 42 team and the 53 of Liam Nolan still have some tricks up their sleeve to give us some great racing before their time is up.
Yeah, now Ryan Reed decided, you know what, you've had that spot, I want it back, but nothing for it at the moment. Still, a little bit of good racing going on here for second place.
Between Evans-Ross, Mashburn, and J.D. Martin in the 66. A very strong performance from J.D. in qualifying. He started in 5th. He's currently in the 4th position. And now Rasha Mahendra is going to size up a move on the veteran in the 66 car. But now Mashburn takes a look on Evans-Ross. This is for second spot. He wants to make this move as soon as possible so that he can try and set off after Devin Fair, who's getting a little too far up the road for his liking.
Yeah, and it looks like he could very well clear.
Almost.
Not quite. But he didn't fall back behind. So he has a chance here going into the turn to... Okay, maybe not. Evans-Ross has a much better run at this end of the track.
Yeah, Evans-Ross is doing a very good job of defending this position, because she's had a rough season up to this point. I know she won Indianapolis last year, but this year hasn't been quite as successful, hoping for better things, and we know she's coming back to Game Breaker Racing next year. Hopefully she can put on some solid runs there. But we're on lap 10. We're quickly rolling into it here at Darlington. The laps are clicking off pretty quickly here as Mahendra swoops down underneath J.D. Martin. That's for 4th spot. He was leading on the 66 out of turn 4.
Yeah, and you said it. The last races of his one-up career, and he wants to do something to make it memorable. And what better way to make it memorable than to be fighting up here with the championship contenders for Darlington, of all places.
Yeah, we remember that win he had at the Denver road course last year. An incredible strategy for both him and his teammate Liam Nolan. But let's not focus too much on the past because we got to focus on the present right here. We're on lap 12, 81 laps to go at Darlington. Devin Fair's advantage now 1.1 seconds as Mashburn does finally complete the pass on Echo Evans Ross. Now we'll see if the 72 car can make any gains on the leader.
Yeah, that's all that you can do right now, is especially since, like you said, he's finally cleared Evans Ross as JD Martin tries to make a move on her. Fair has gotten out there further than Mashburn would like, but now he's got a new problem. This isn't going to help him catch Fair.
No, and that's his teammates. He's trying to fight off on the inside is JD Martin. But it looks like he's not going to get the run out of the corner that he needed. Mashburn's able to get back past the 66 as we look a little further back. Dylan Young in his final Southern 500 as well. He is making gains as well. He started this race in 10th. He's already gained a couple spots since then, and now he's getting alongside Teskar for 7th.
Yeah, and that's big. I mean, you said it. It's his last race at Darlington before he hangs up the helmet at the end of this. It's gonna be, regardless of the finish. If it's a good finish, it's gonna be bittersweet. But it's still not. He'll have something to be thankful for sure. But by the time this is over.
And meanwhile, Lane Sanders, we talked about him in that regular season points fight. He's struggling a little bit in this race. He's fallen a little ways, but he's still fighting for every position he can get, right, currently battling Ryan Griffin. And here's our defending winner of this race. Jensen Nomina last year pulled off a massive upset. This year he's back for another attempt at it, running a little ways off compared to what he was last year. He's currently just hanging onto a spot in the top 20, but still a very strong run for another driver who's going to be going full-time in Superstar competition next year. Whoa, look at that. Michaels bumping that 0-2 out of the way for 17th place.
Yeah, every position. It's Darlington. You want every position you can as we get a good look at some field here. Bobo Jones. Yeah, William Brock there. Mark Davey, not exactly having the greatest of days, but still not terrible overall. But got quite a few different contenders here that would love to be up higher than they really are.
Yeah, especially guys like Zachary DeLello, Emma Kruger. They're right on that cut line. They're the first two out of the playoffs as it stands, and they are mired deep 30th and 31st at the moment. Eric Monaco's back there, Stephen Hunter in the 31. Not quite the run he's wanted so far in this race, but there's still a lot of time to make something happen. But behind him are a couple of guys who I am very surprised to see still back here at this point. Jeffrey Finguy in the 92, Zayden Davidson in the 4. I know they qualified really poorly, but I would have expected them to be a little higher up the field than where they are right now. I guess it just goes to show you the strength of the field that we have as a whole in this series.
Absolutely, it's tough sometimes. Sometimes you're used to being on the top, and then you have your rough days, and it can bring you down a little bit. But you got to remember, it's as we see poor Zachary Fitzwater here. He just riding around, basically shotgun to the field, just cruising. On one side, at least you have less chance of a beat up car at the end of the race, but still kind of disappointing, no doubt.
Absolutely, but that's your through the field. See where your favorite driver was running. Meanwhile, it's Devin Fair out in the lead of this race, but that gap has come down a bit. Miles Mashburn's gotten it down to about 0.7 of a second. Last time they crossed the line, now he's got it down to just over a half a second. So that 72 is closing the gap to the 51. The question becomes, can he get past?
That is the big question. Well, he's got momentum. He's closed up the gap big here now, it looks like. Gain a good amount per lap, and that'll put him there. If he can get by Fair, I have a feeling he'll be able to truly check out on everybody.
And meanwhile, this battle for 7th continues to rage on. Teskar, Young, Caesar, and Vargas, they're all battling hard for 7th through 10th. It's been a while since Christian Vargas has been to victory lane. He's got 15 career wins, but he hasn't won since, I believe it was the season finale last year. So he is still looking for his first win of the season. Very strange to hear that Christian Vargas has not won a race in the regular season, but that's the position he's in right now. But he does have a very fast car. He started down in 16th, and he's already cracked the top 10.
And he's looking for more as he essentially arrow pushes Julio Cesar past Dylan Young and now goes by him himself. He's got a lot of work to do in order to get up there to be able to get up here with Fair and Mashburn to get that first season.
It's not like he hasn't come close a number of times. He absolutely has, but it just hasn't worked out for him so far. Hopefully he gets one, though. But we're on lap 23. The gap is down to just under 0.3 of a second between Fair and Mashburn. J.D. Martin, Echo Evans-Ross running a solid 3rd and 4th, with Rashi Mahendra nearly 3 seconds off the lead, settled now into 5th position.
And you look at Brian Reed there. We talked about him. It's his first race, and he's doing a really good job here. Unfortunately, we know what happened with owner for that whole organization, but he's cheering that rookie on, and I know that he's got to be happy with this. As on the opposite end of things, Mashburn's not happy that he can't get by the 51 yet.
But boy, is he trying. He's making a move to the outside out of 4. That's a good position to make a pass in. But he's slowly trying to find his way past Fair. Yeah, he ducks out to the inside to make a move, and it looks as though it's not going to quite work that time.
Yeah, I'm noticing that the inside line only seems to work if you have enough momentum. And even then, we saw it was between the 72 and the 39. It wasn't always perfect. You still had a little bit of work to do to get by, but outside certainly to be where you need to be if you've got a strong car like that 50 Fair.
Yeah, and Fair's doing all the right things. He's putting his car in all the right places to force Mashburn to that inside to try and pass the 51. So he's doing everything right. He's got to hope that the 72 burns everything out on his car, his tires, etc., trying to pass, and eventually falls back away. So it's not happening this lap, though. He's pulled alongside for the lead.
And now we'll have to see if he can do what he did with Echo Evans-Ross several laps ago and try to work his way slowly by, though obviously, obviously difference between the 39 and the 51. The 51's a bit stronger than the 39 at this point, but, he's showing that he can find a way to make it work. It's just a matter of completing the move.
Which so far he hasn't quite been able to do, but that's okay. There's still a lot of racing left to go, and the gap is still only a 10th and a half. He is right there, ready to capitalize on any mistake out of that 51. Further back, Cale Tesco Jr. has dropped a little bit back. He's actually, never mind. He did get past Ryan Reed for the 6th position, so he's back up into the 6th spot, but he's got a lot of guys backed up behind him. And that's quite a big pack, actually, forming up between Mahendra and at least Christian Vargas, probably even more cars behind him. So it's going to be interesting to see how those guys sort out their battles, because one wrong move here can be calamitous.
Oh, absolutely, especially when you got such intense battles like those. And like what we were seeing in the first few laps, it can be very treacherous to do something like that. As speaking of treacherous, we might have ourselves a bit of a challenge here, and Mashburn's going for it again here.
But again, he takes that inside line in the turn 1, which is where you want to try and make a pass, but it is so not easy to do. And proven once again, he just could not make the pass stick, and he's fallen quite a ways off the 51, actually. He's almost fallen into the clutches of his teammate, J.D. Martin. But Mashburn, I feel like this is just a big yo-yo effect where Mashburn has a really good lap, catches up to the back of the 51, tries to make a pass, then has a really poor lap, falls back into the clutches of Martin, and then rinse and repeat. So I'm sure he's trying to calculate how long it takes him to make a move back to the 51, but maybe if he gets the 66 to help him a little bit, the two of them combined may be able to overcome Devin's pace.
Yeah, that. Well, maybe not so much considering it seems like teammates aren't exactly acting like teammates right now and working together. They want every position they can, but Miles still has the stronger car at the moment.
And the thing about it is they're both racing for big causes here. Mashburn's racing for the regular season championship. Martin's trying to just make the top 15 in points. He's only 26 points above the cut line going into this race, so every point matters for that 66 car. As we look a little further back, Tescar's made the pass on Mahendra now for 5th position. I think that 18's finally starting to come into its own. The problem he's got now, he's about 5 seconds off the lead.
Yeah, that's the tough part here. You if you have a long run car, it could put you in a really tough spot, like Tescar is right now, to be able to catch back up to the leaders. But the good news about that is, if your car, even in a long run car, you have a chance to start catch up and take advantage of, I don't know, say top 2 fighting each other hard like this.
Well, it's certainly possible, to say the least. But we're on lap 34. Devon Fair once again gets a huge run through 1 and 2 and gaps the 72 by quite a lot. Like I said, it's a big yo-yo match at the moment, and Mashburn just needs to find the consistency he needs to stay on the back of the 51 and find an opportunity to pass.
Yeah, meanwhile, Fair is just enjoying the fact that 72 cannot get by. And we all know what's going on with Fair and team that he owns that going into next year. We know where Devon's going now, and I know he's looking for the future, but he's also looking at getting at least one, if not multiple, final wins for Revolution Toyota before he leaves.
That is certainly going to be the case, but look at this. Martin now swoops to the outside of Mashburn. He's too tired of waiting around for the 72 to do something. He's going to try and take the opportunity himself. Martin now moves up into the 2nd position so he can try and chase after Devon Fair, who's just half a second up the road. Could JD be the one to try and usurp the 51 from the top spot?
Could possibly do so. Well, we know JD's hungry for a win. He hasn't exactly had the best luck with visiting Victory Lane over the last few years, but he proves that he's proven he can do it, and it's just a matter of when it's going to happen again. As we see Tescar, who himself would love to get another win after an abysmal return last year, and it's trying to get by Evans Ross, but just like what's happening with 72 and the 51. No go yet.
No go yet, but one guy who is going, and he's going quite far, is Christian Vargas. He's moved up to the 7th position now, right behind Rasha Mahendra, and that's a gain of at least 9 spots since the start of this race. He might lose another one here to Dylan Young, who's on a bit of a charge of his own at the moment. But Vargas, I feel, has a really good car, and if he can get some track position, he's probably going to take good advantage of it.
Oh, yeah, and you talk about Young. Right now, he and Patrick Smith are jointly carrying the Finn Guy Tommy banner. As we talked about Finn Guy himself being mired way back in the field. Ryan Griffin just trying to make some kind of headway, but the FPM team is still got some representation in the top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, and those two they're both only 11 point. Well, yeah, they're both 11 points above the cut line right now. So a good run for them is kind of necessary to vault themselves into championship contention. As we look at Patrick Smith right there trying to make a move on Mahendra, who I think is starting to lose the handle of that 42 car a little bit. He's lost positions to Young, to Vargas, and now to Patrick Smith, which will knock the 42 all the way back to 9th place.
And if he's not careful, Julio Caesar and those behind, just outside the top 10 behind the 00 will pounce as well. But for right now, for him to be going 40 laps into this thing and still in the top 10, that is definitely something to be proud of. As we look at Griffin here, who we just talked about a little bit ago, he's just trying to find something, like I said.
He's up to 12th place, which is pretty solid for him considering he started down in 20th. But up at the front, it continues to be Devon Fair out in the lead over J.D. Martin, who hasn't quite been able to make the move stick on the 51 to try and get the lead. But those three leaders have pulled a huge gap between themselves and fourth place Echo Evans Ross, and we are quickly approaching the halfway point of this race. So time you still got enough time to try and make moves happen, but you don't have as much as you had, say, 20-30 laps ago.
No, definitely. Every lap that is clicked off is a lap less to try to make a move on the leader. Speaking of moves, Mashburn said, "Okay, my turn to try again," as he goes back by Martin. Let's see if he can actually do something unfair this time.
Well, I don't think Martin's done quite yet. He wants to... I think he had a rough 1 and 2. That's why he lost all that momentum that he had. But now, look, he's re-cleared Mashburn for the position. And believe it or not, they're still gaining on Devin Fair despite their inter-team battling. But up at the front, Fair has led pretty much consistently ever since lap 3. He's doing a pretty good job of managing this race out front.
Oh, absolutely. We talk about it. Any driver who gets a chance to be up front, even if it's are there on a regular basis, if it's not as often like J.D. Martin, we talked about it, he hasn't had the greatest run at times, but to be up here in contention for a crown jewel win, that is something that is definitely weighing on his mind right now as he tries to hold off his teammate.
Yeah, it'd mean a big deal to any one of these guys who hasn't won at Darlington before. But up at the front, it continues to be Devin Fair. We're closing in on halfway, which is at about lap 47. So I would expect these guys to need to come to pit road probably within the next 10 to 15 laps to try and... Not so much for a fuel concern, but because these tires have had enough. They're already about 2.5 seconds slower than they were at the start of this race.
Yeah, and you talk about it. You don't need to be racing on bad tires, because we've seen sometimes when you race on tires for long enough, if they get worn out enough, they could just go on you, and that'll end your day real quick.
It's definitely a thing to keep your eye on at the moment, as Martin tried to make a move on Devin Fair for the lead, but he backs up a little bit, was unable to make the move stick properly, and now Fair is able to just take off and get going again. But Martin and Mashburn have been giving Fair a big headache all day long, and if they keep it up, eventually that 51 is gonna find some way to make a mistake, and if that happens, the two robbers' teammates will be ready to strike.
Oh, absolutely! It's just what you want to see, or at least it's what you want to see if you're a robbers racing fan or driver. And Fair don't want to see them get by, but if they actually work together, it could happen. We'll find out soon enough.
That we will, because we are now at halfway in this race. Devin Fair only has a couple more laps to go to lock up the bonus point for leading the most laps here today. And that's a big deal for him because he's trying to clinch a spot in the championship hunt. He's entered this race 65 points above the cut line, so he should be in pretty good shape. But we know a lot can happen in the second half here at Darlington, so any point he can claim now will go a long way.
It will definitely go a long way, and that, like I talked about, he wants to do some big things. He wants to go out of his tenure at Revolution Toyota with something big, whether it's just a few more wins or perhaps even another championship. We won't know until after Homestead, but he's just going to go for everything he can get while he's got the opportunity. Speaking of getting every opportunity, Patrick Smith, he's kind of caught in a little bit of a mess here behind one of his teammates and another pair of Toyotas.
And he's got another Toyota behind in the former Christian Vargas, who is still putting together a very strong race, gaining a handful of spots at the very beginning and has been holding on to them ever since. But Young trying to make a move now to the inside of... looks like test car, I'd assume. But we're on lap 50 now, and Devin Fair now has clinched the most laps led point, and he's got that now. No one can take it from him. And that's important for him. Like I said, if anything bad happens to him from this point onward, at least he has those points that no one can take from him.
Yeah, which will help soften the blow. And Well, he shouldn't have to worry about falling out of playoff contention, but it nags at you. Every little possibility. We saw it happen with Fair going for his first title and Finn Guy last year. They were all nagging about their little things that they thought every little thing they thought might kill their championship hopes. We're not quite the same way yet with any of their championship contenders, but some of that stuff's got to be weighing on Fair's mind as he leads here.
Absolutely. He's got to be thinking about these things as a race car driver. You just got to know. It looks like we got one on pit road already. This doesn't look scheduled either, and it's the 28 of Ryan Reed. We're hearing that a slow leak on one of his tires has brought him to pit road early. This is a big deal for this 28 car because he either needs this to cycle. He needs no Ivers about it. He needs this thing to cycle green through the rest of everybody else's pit stops.
And I had noticed he had just gotten back in the top 10 after getting Barasha Mahendra, which now that he's fallen out with that air leak, he has opened up the door for the third Roberts Racing driver to join in on the top 10 fun, even though he's still got almost 7 seconds of catching up to do to get up there to be as troubling with Fair as his teammates are. But no, that's one person's misfortune, which you hate it for Reed, is potentially someone else's blessing.
But the thing about Ryan Reed now, he is going to be far and away the fastest car on the track by a long way, at least 3 seconds a lap faster. So if this cycles green the rest of the way, he'll probably be the race leader when this all cycles out. That's how much of a difference fresh tires make. But we saw it yesterday. That doesn't always guarantee you a win in this race.
And we saw it last year. This race last year, pit cycles can be beneficial. They can help you. Last year was a very interesting race for sure, but so far so good for keeping it clean. But the racing, especially for the lead, up until the last few laps, has been pretty good.
As I noticed, not only is Mahendra falling out of the top 10, but so is Cale Tescar Jr. in the 18. But Ryan Reed, he is blistering around this racetrack with 29-second lap times when everyone else is in the 31s or 32s. So, like I said, if this cycles out green all the way, this is going to put Ryan Reed in a very handy position. But he's going to have to defend as we got a crash into turn 1. It's Vargas and Caesar that's going to put us under the caution for the first time, and that's going to kill Ryan Reed's race.
Yeah, that is not good. And I'm sure he's probably pounding the steering wheel right now because this is just not. And you definitely want to say this is definitely not what Christian Vargas won. We talked about it. Hasn't won this season yet, and looks like that's going to continue for at least another race.
Yeah, you feel for Vargas, who had made a good charge through the field to get to that position, but just goes to show you anything can happen at this old racetrack, and it's shown up here. Of course, Ryan Reed will get the free pass, and he'll get back on the lead lap that way, but he's lost all his track position now.
Yeah, that's going to be the painful thing as we see the leaders coming in. I'd expect everybody to come in because, like we talked about, the tire fall off is just awful. So, or just like the tires, they definitely cannot keep going for almost half a race.
Yeah, so everybody does come down pit road with the sole exception of Ryan Reed, who was just on pit road. But we'll see how this plays out because the pit cycle can really shake up the running order as well. We've seen that before in these races.
Yeah, we absolutely have, and here everybody's getting tires. You don't want to just put half the new set on. You want a full set because fresh rubber definitely gives you the best chance depending on the track and how the wear is. And Young.
Yeah, he beat Martin out of the pits just barely. Martin will have to let the 29 back through. Ryan Griffin gained a bunch of spots in that exchange as well. So Vargas was making a move on Echo Evans Ross to try and gain a position there, but he gets a hook from Joshua Michaels. I don't think he was anticipating the 6 coming into the corner with such a high rate of speed, but either way, Julio Caesar had nowhere to go in the 00, just got caught up in it.
and a lot of these drivers behind them got lucky to not get caught up with them. It's unfortunate.
That's probably going to eliminate the 54 and maybe the 00 as well from this race, and that's a really big shame because they were both running top 10 at the time of their incident. But it just goes to show you anything can happen at any point in this race, anywhere on the track. Here, one more look, and yeah, Michaels is quite a ways behind Vargas at this point. I think, yeah, Vargas slowed a little early for the corner, and I don't think Michaels saw that coming. And Caesar, like I said, just a victim in this whole mess.
There's like 2 or 3 drivers right there. You just saw it. Had they been a split second sooner, or the 54 and the 00 slid down just that same split second later, we'd have been talking maybe 5, 6, maybe more cars caught up. We're thankful that it was not as bad as it could have been, although I think Vargas would agree.
So he is out of the race from that crash, Christian Vargas. But he's the only one out of the race currently. We have 41 cars still running, and they're all on the lead lap. We're probably going to go back racing here with about 33 laps to go. And this has brought new life into this race. Devin Fair, he's led a good chunk of the day, but now he has new challengers behind him. Dylan Young, Patrick Smith, of course, Martin and Mashburn are still there. Ryan Griffin, we've got a whole bunch of Fingai Saitomi cars running in the top half dozen, so maybe one of them can pull a surprise on us.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, as still got to wait for the race to go back green. But you know, Young, he's been looking for a victory to whether it's his final one or not, be able to go out of his career and say that he got. But you know, that 51's pretty strong, so if he's going to have a shot at getting a Darlington win before he hangs up the helmet himself, he's going to have some work to do, I'm sure.
And we did get the 1-to-go signal there. So we are going to go back racing on lap 61, and it's Devin Fair out in the lead. Ryan Reed, though, he's going to have a little bit of ground to make up because he's now in 41st place. He's the last car on the lead lap, and he's got a little bit older tires than everybody else because he didn't pit under that caution. He pit a few laps before it. So, not saying it's impossible, but it's going to be a huge uphill battle for this 28 car.
Yeah, that's... like I said, when the caution came out, he had to be pounding the steering wheel, but I'm sure he's now refocused, and he's determined to get as many positions as he can, even though his tire advantage is pretty much gone. But he's going to do what he can to get up there, because he has a car that's capable of being in the top 10. It's just, it's going to be a hard task to be able to finish there now.
One last thing to point out before we go back racing: Miles Mashburn in 5th place, 8th position, Lane Sanders. That could be an interesting battle that takes place before the checkered flag flies here. But we're about to go back racing with Devin Fair in the lead of this race. He's led all but 2 laps today. Will he lead the rest of them? We're about to find out. The green flag is back in the air. We're racing once again.
Yeah, Fair got a pretty good start, but so did Young, Martin. They all got a pretty good start, and looks like Young might be trying to take a peek here, but he's also got to guard his inside because Martin's going to try to make a move of his own.
And meanwhile, Ryan Reed with a huge problem. He's got Julio Caesar, who did not get a good launch off the line, and he is trying to make his way past, but there's not a lot of places to make a pass, as Martin dives to the inside of Dylan Young for the second position. And there he goes with help from Patrick Smith. J.D. Martin back up into 2nd place.
Yeah, you talked about new players. Well, you got 3 of the 4 Fingai Saitomi cars right there. Ryan Griffin right there with his teammates. He's looking to make something of it, and you talked about it. Here's the points battle, and right now they're trying to figure it away. And Sanders held up by Griffin as Mashburn makes move to the outside.
Yeah, so Mashburn needs to finish ahead of Lane Sanders, basically, to keep as big a points lead as he can over the 87, because next week is Daytona, and we know how those races are going to go. So if you can get a good run here at Darlington ahead of your competitor, take it as soon as you can, because you might not be as lucky at Daytona as you were here. But right now, Mashburn's doing whatever he can to get those positions. He's working underneath Patrick Smith now as Sanders makes his way past the 02.
Yeah, but he's having a tougher time getting by Patrick Smith than he did with Griffin. Or than Sanders did by Griffin. But this is definitely going to be interesting. If these two cannot get away from each other at all the rest of the race, oh boy, this is going to be good.
It's going to be, there's no doubt about it. We're within the final 30 laps, and these guys are going to give us quite a good show, I have a feeling. And speaking of good shows, how about 10th place Bobo Jones? He started this race in 22nd position. He's had a very rough season, as we all know, but he's found his way into the 10th position late in this race. He could try and finish there,
Yeah, we know. You said it. It's not been the greatest of seasons. He's had a lot of bad luck. A lot of things go wrong. He needs something because, to be known as the guy who's had the worst luck, not just at your team but in your series, of those who've been in the races anyway, it's got to be weighing on.
Certainly, but there he is, right behind Teskar, trying to make a move happen here. And there are some guys up at the front that we haven't seen there all race long. Emma Kruger, Cody Goforth, Jeffrey Finguy's fought his way up to the top 20, and Stephen Hunter in that 31. We talked about this has probably been his best race since his return, and he's now solidly up in the top 20 as well.
And being the only Crossroads racing car carrying the banner, as I sit up here silently trying to at least mentally cheer him on as I talk about everyone else in the field, I am very happy to see him have this going for him. Like you said, it's been a rough return for him. Watkins Glen, Vermont, definitely not what he's been looking for in a return to the series.
But this is the kind of run we expect out of him. Oh, and Ortiz up into the wall through turn 2. That's going to be tough to navigate through. And look at all these positions he's losing through that slide along the wall. He's lost at least 6 spots, possibly 7, 8, 9, maybe. But Ortiz just trying to hang on, slot in wherever he can. As up at the front, we've had a lead change while we were away. And it's J.D. Martin to the top spot. He's gotten around the 51.
It only took him almost 2/3 of the race, but roughly 2/3, a little over 2/3 of the race. But he's there, and the question is, can he capitalize this opportunity and run away, or can maybe Young and Smith get by and create some trouble for him, just like he and Mashburn did for Fair earlier?
Not sure what happened to the 51 that caused him to lose all that time. But it looks like he's gotten back into his rhythm, and now he's going to try and chase down Martin once again. It's going to be very fun to watch, because J.D. Martin, I believe he is the only Robbers racing car this season to not go to victory lane yet, and this would be a really good opportunity to take care of that. But Devin Fair, he's right back onto the bumper of the 66, trying to make that continue on for a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's when you've got the lead. The thing I'm thinking is here, you're J.D. Martin. You just got the lead for the man who's been dominating this race. He's still hounding you. What do you do here? You can't really focus too much on out front without thinking about him being behind you, because he'll just pounce on you. But you can't mirror drive too much, because he can still pounce on you. You got to find a balance, and right now, I guarantee that spotter's doing everything he can to help him here.
Meanwhile, we can report a couple laps ago, Duke Anzac pulled his car behind the wall with a mechanical issue. He is out of the race now as well, so that is 40 cars still running in this race with the loss of the 83. But back to what you were saying about Devin Fair and J.D. Martin. I think what Martin's going to try and do now is exactly what Devin Fair did to him earlier. Take the line that he wants to have and make him try and pass you in a different spot, his weaker line. Try and make him go down there and see if he can do it or not.
And the matter of can that work or not, as you see Stephen Hunter here going by Stephen Gale, the Battle of the Stevens here. You got several Chevrolets right there. You got 2 Aventa and 1 Crossroads, but obviously you look ahead of that. You got Mark Davey and Finn guy. So we talked about him. He's already made moves. He got by Hunter. He got by a few others. He wants some redemption for his rough start.
And he started down in 38th place, so he is well on his way to a decent result. Of course, he's already locked into the playoffs, but you can never have too much momentum going into them. But you see now, J.D. Martin's pulled a bit of a gap over Fair, and we're into the final 20 laps now. And not only that, Devon's doesn't even have the fastest lap point anymore. Belongs to his teammate, Zayden Davidson in the 4, and that's really important for him because remember that cut line we were talking about, Davidson needs every point he can get.
And if he can secure that fastest lap point, that'll definitely help him in the long run. And speaking of fast, it may not reflect much in terms of like the fastest lap positioning, but the Finn guy, he's just on a mission. I don't think he cares if he wins or not. He just wants the top 10 to salvage. Speaking of salvaging, Fair wants to salvage this win.
And for Jeffrey Finn guy, it would be very impressive to come from 38th starting spot to get to the top 10. But if there's anyone that can do it, I would expect him to. But here comes Fair now out of turn 4 of another shot at the 66. They're side by side across the line. It's going to be really close there. Man, only 7 thousandths apart. Now Fair gonna try and take the lead back from J.D. Martin, and you know what? He just did.
Yeah, it didn't take much. That 51 still got some oomph left in it, as we saw the wounded 00 way off in the distance. Could be a factor later, we'll find out eventually, but right now, there is was a train of traffic behind Fair as Martin trying to get in. Well, look at this. The points battle. Looks like right now it's Lane Sanders trying to get one up or more than that on the Mashburn.
As they run right now, they would be tied for the points lead because I believe the gap was only 2 points going into this race, and you just never know how Daytona will play out. So you want to get as many points as you can here in the last to be considered normal race of the regular season. But you saw it, the lead changed hands twice in the space of just 1 lap. Devon Fair is not out of this mix just yet.
Now, the 66 and the 51 have truly shown themselves to be pretty strong. Then again, the 22 and the 87, they've shown themselves to be pretty strong in the late going, but they've still got work to do. If they have a hope of winning this, I mean, Lane's thinking about the win as much as he is about that points battle, and he's got 3 cars to get by in order to be able to get both one on this race anyway.
And how about Sanders there? He's trying to make a pass on Patrick Smith for 3rd, but he didn't quite have the momentum needed to get there. Now he's falling back into the clutches of Dylan Young for 4th. And there's Mashburn in the background there as they come up to put a lap on Julio Caesar. This could be an important lap car here. We're coming up on 10 to go, and whoever deals with this lap car the best could be in the best position to win this race.
And it also will depend on which line Caesar takes as he tries to get out of the way. But if Martin and Fair are side by side when they get to the 00, it's going to be hard for him to figure out how to get out of the way without causing a big issue.
And Caesar, he wants to stay on the lead lap just in case another caution comes out, because we're going to get to the point soon where we stop giving out free passes. So he needs to stay in front of the leaders if he's going to hope to stay on the lead lap. But with that speed disparity, I'm not sure how long he can do that.
Especially because he's on the high side, Martin going on the low side, and Fair trying to size Martin up for another attempt while Smith tries to size up Fair. This could get real ugly if things go just the wrong way.
Well, hopefully Caesar does the right thing here, holds his line at least. And sure enough, that's exactly what he does. He lets all the leaders go past him on the low lane. But so yeah, that's the 3 leaders past Julio Caesar. They're now in a battle as we have 10 laps to go from Darlington.
10 laps to go, and we're getting to that point where every lap that ticks off is a lap less that could be led by Fair as he tries to go for something here, and Lane's having to go outside of his team here because I think Caesar's having a hard time figuring out which lane to stay in to get out of the way.
But what that's done is it's brought Mashburn back into play a little bit. I think Caesar's going to try and help his teammate out by holding the 72 back as long as he possibly can. And sure enough, that's exactly what he's doing, playing the team game to try and fend off Mashburn, and he really needs it because Sanders had a really bad 1 and 2 there.
And he lost the position, so it's now Mashburn has the advantage in the points battle again, and don't look now. It may be too little too late to go for the victory, but I see a 92 in the top 10 now as we're looking at him.
That is an incredible performance, honestly, from Jeffrey Finguy. Started 38th in this race. Didn't look like he had any pace in the first half, but they adjusted that thing to perfection. He's now fought his way into the top 10 in the final 10 laps.
And you saw for a little while before Finguy got back up there, Raja Mahendra had found himself back in the top 10 for a little bit. Still having a good day, but doesn't look like he's going to get the top 10 he was hoping for. But meanwhile, Sanders trying to regroup and try to regain the point he lost.
And we only have 6.5 laps to go now. Time is running out for everybody in this field. But now, JD Martin's just trying to think about how can he keep Devin Fair at bay, because I think Patrick Smith is starting to fall off of the battle for the race lead. It's becoming a 1v1 showdown between the 66 and the 51.
And we got another 1v1 battle as we go back up here to the 66, who has a bit of a gap. This right here, I mean, yeah, right now, points-wise, Mashburn has the advantage, but you know it's going to go right back to about where it was at the start of this race if Lane can't hold off the 72.
Well, if it does, it becomes a 1-point swing in Sanders' favor to a 3-point swing in Mashburn's favor. So that's something you got to keep your eye on as well, as we're into the final 5 laps here at Darlington.
And it's getting to be around that time where we've talked about it before. When you're in the lead, especially in a crown jewel race, whether you've won it before or not, you start wondering, is there something wrong? Especially if you got a big gap, which obviously Martin does not have that. But you start wondering, is there something up with the car? Is there something that your mind starts playing tricks on you, no matter how hard you fight that off. But another factor here for Fair on his end of things, we're at the point now where if he can't get by the 66 before either what will be the final caution comes out or we get to the checkered flag, he ain't going to win.
Certainly true, but we're coming up on 3 laps to go, and man, Jeffrey Finguy is on a mission. He's all the way up to 8th spot now in that 92. He has had the drive of his life to get from 38th to 8th. He's gained 30 positions in this race, and we're into the final 3 laps. He might be able to gain at least one more by the end of this thing.
And that one more would be his Ryan Griffin up there ahead of him, but right now...
looks like Martin's slowing. He's got an issue.
No.
The 66 is pulled down to the side of the track. He's on his way to pit road. Something amiss with the 66. We're trying to figure out what it is, but that's handed the lead right back to Devin Fair with now 2 laps to go in this race, as Ortiz hits pit road as well.
Ortiz, I can kind of understand, considering he had a huge wall ride earlier in the race, but what in the world happened to the 66?
Well, he is definitely not going to win now after leading 20 laps of this race, but Devin Fair in the catbird seat now, coming to the white flag this time by.
And we talked about it. I talked about it before. When he's leaving Toyota at the end of the season, he's got 1 lap to get himself at least one more victory as a Toyota and Revolution racing driver. And Patrick Smith's too far behind right now without something happening to that 51 for him to do anything. So I have to say, Fair's done what he needed to do. He's dominated this race. Almost got it taken from him before Martin's misfortune, but coming to the checkered flag. Congratulations, Devin Fair. You've won at Darlington.
Not just a win at Darlington, it's a win in the Southern 500 for Devin Fair, who takes his 11th career win in the One-Up Superstar Series, all by himself now, 3rd all-time in career wins. But driving a race for me has to go to this 92 car. He started this race in 38th, gained 31 spots on the day, and he finishes in 7th. But oh man, for JD Martin, he led 20 laps of this race. He probably thought he could win it. In the end, it's 38th place for him.
And attaboy to Bobo Jones there. We talked about it. Team owner failed to make the race because there was just so many entries. So I felt Jeff's pain there, but he's got to be happy with Bobo's result there.
Yeah, but I doubt J.D. Martin's going to be too pleased because he only entered this race 26 points to the good on the cut line. He was about 2 laps away from a win in the Southern 500, and now his point situation very questionable as we head to Daytona next week.
Yeah, Daytona, you talk about it, it's a gamble. You don't know what you're going to be dealing with. We've seen it plenty of times. We've had we've had races where things tend to be tame, and then we've had races where just utter chaos can happen. You don't know what to expect. Like you said, that's the one that you got to really watch the points battles for both the regular season championship and the cut line.
Well, that's going to be a big weekend at Daytona for sure. But from James Ellison and from myself as well, thanks for joining us for this Southern 500. It was an absolute thrill ride from start to finish like it usually is. Congratulations to Devin Fair on career win number 11. And like you said, we've got 2 big points battles to figure out who will win the regular season championship, who will claim the final few spots in the playoffs. We'll find that out and so much more when we head to the World Center of Racing at Daytona next week.